Hey, you're in for a treat. In this episode of the Everything Email podcast, you'll learn about how to combine email marketing with social media marketing. Here we go.
Welcome to the Everything Email Podcast with Ken Countess. Ken is a world-renowned email marketing expert. He'll help you 10x your business with email strategies that generate more sales. And now, here's Ken Countess.
Hey, welcome to this week's episode of the Everything Email podcast. I'm Ken Countess, your host. And the Everything Email podcast is presented by Ken is Email. Today's guest is a very special guest. I met Litt several months ago on the Podcast Collaborative, and we've spoken several times over the course of the last few months, and I invited Lauren to be with me today. Her business is Little Shameless Plug, a name I absolutely love. Now, I'm just going to jump in and let Lauren jump in and tell you more about herself and her business.
Thank you so much, Ken. I'm so excited to be here today because everything is email. And I know that sounds nuts coming from a social media manager, but every piece of your online marketing plays together. So I just am really excited for our conversation. My company is Little Shameless Plug, and we really specialize in helping people who don't like social media, but know they need it for their business. And we do everything from full service, meaning full content curation and creation for you, all of your social media management, emails, and, SEO. So that full package, to consultation services where I jump in and I help you and your VA understand your marketing process. And then you get to go and implement yourself. So we do it all.
So good. And I saw in your bio something about an Oscar movie.
Oh, so I am an actor. That's actually why I started my business. This is my quote unquote other dream job. And because, not to shock you all, but actors don't make a ton of money. And so I needed something to support me in between. And part of starting my business, I supported film festivals. So one of the film festivals that I supported was Holly Shorts, which is now an Oscar nominating festival. And I was with them through that process of becoming an Oscar nominating festival and worked with them after that. So it's a huge honor for a film festival to reach that status. And it was really fun. I got to interview Deborah Messing on the red carpet once. So that's my happy moment.
Oh, cool. So fun. Tell me, what got you into your business?
Well, like I said, I'm an actor and I just simply couldn't wait tables anymore. And I made the promise to myself that I wasn't going to trade my time for a paycheck. If I was going to be doing something that wasn't acting, I wanted it to be something that benefited others, that used my skill sets, that challenged me. And the reason I'm an actor is I believe that we need to share stories, and by sharing stories, we are creating a more empathetic world. And kind of social media does that same thing, right? I'm helping people share their stories so that they can connect with more people and really, raise knowledge. So that's why I created Little Shameless Plug.
That's awesome. Hey, and for those of you who are listening to the podcast, you owe it to yourself to watch on YouTube, because we are recording this with the intent of it being both as an audio and an AV event. And you'll be able to see how expressive Lauren is on camera. And so it's no surprise to me that you're an actor. It's just awesome. I love it. So tell me, Lauren, how do you think email marketing has helped your business?
Look, the thing about email, right? And you know this to be true, we don't own our social media presence.
Right.
Social media is an incredible community builder. It is a fantastic way to go deeper with people, but the main space that you own, and still the space where you're going to see the majority of sales in your business, is through your email list. And so if you're not nurturing that list and consistently building your list through your social media or lead magnets, you're doing yourself a disservice.
That's 100% true. Totally true. Tell me, who's your ideal client?
Well, they don't like social media, but they know they need it for their business. And I do have a caveat. I only support people who are doing something to make the world a better place. So if you're someone who is just looking for your next 50,000 followers, we are not the company for you. But if you have created a pen that makes, writing notes easier, or you're a coach, who is helping people. I'm thinking of one of my own coaches who with ADHD, those people, you have a message. You're a small business because you have a message and a way to make the world a better place. So that's it.
Great. Let's connect the dots now between social media and email.
Yes.
As a social media manager, why do you think your email list is the most important? You kind of touched on it, but maybe we can dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And so I like to think of this as it's like a giant funnel. All of your online marketing is a funnel that should lead. I don't love using the word should, but we're going to use it here, to your email list. So at the very top, you have your website, which is like your 365-day banner that's out there working for you consistently if it's set up right. You're going to have one or two. We recommend at least having two social media platforms that you're active on as a business to help raise your SEO across the board and to get people to know, like, and trust you. You should also have a functioning lead magnet. And by the way, all small business owners have a lead magnet. If you've got a newsletter list, guess what? That's your lead magnet, right? Inviting people to go deeper with you, to get more consistent knowledge or tips, or, sometimes there's an email that's just an inspiring one. That's the space where you're going to be the most intimate with someone. And like I said, it's the space where you're going to see the highest conversion of sales, because if you're on something like Instagram or Facebook, there is a very low conversion rate from the platform to your actual sales. And I'm a social media manager who's interested in how social media is affecting your bottom line. Again, I don't really care how many followers or likes you have, because that doesn't equal success for your business.
Yeah, that's like in the old days, we talked about eyeballs. Eyeballs are not dollars.
Yes.
Right? You've got to convert those people from eyeballs to actual buyers. So how then do you drive traffic from social media to an email list? What are a few tips you might offer our audience?
So, number one, you have to let people know that it's there. I recently taught a course that I said, your lead magnet won't share itself. Like, just because you have a newsletter or you have an email list that's valuable doesn't mean people are going to be like, you know what? Ken is email and I would just love to be on his newsletter. No, we have to, on social media, think of ourselves as like Hansel and Gretel leaving these baby little breadcrumbs to get to the witch's house, but not so that we're eaten, so that people get on our list. And so you want to remind people, talk about the reason why someone is going to be on your email newsletter list. In marketing, there's this 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're going to be giving content away. 20% of the time you should be talking about your own content. And the way this works out practically for social media is about somewhere between every 5th to 8th post, you want to talk about your service, your newsletter, your lead magnet, however you're going to get someone off of the platform and into working with you.
That's right. It's kind of the 80-20 rule at work.
Yes, it is. It's very much the 80-20 rule at work.
Yeah. So let's then, and you talked about it, let's flip it around a little bit. How do you turn your newsletter, right? People are on your list. Now, how do you take that newsletter and turn it into content for social media?
Oh, so good. So I recently coached with a woman, and she writes these very informative, thoughtful emails. She works in the nonprofit industry and she helps other nonprofits. And so she was really stressed, being like, I've got this email and now I don't know what to do with it, and I have to do these emails every week. And I was like, okay, let's calm down. And Ken, you probably will have thoughts about this too, but because this email she sends is so thorough and so thoughtful, I showed her how we can take that email and turn it into specific posts. She was looking at Instagram. So here is how you take the idea of the email and turn it into a carousel. Then you take the other point of this email and create a quick video where you're talking about it. And the call to action is to bring people back to your newsletter. If you want to learn more, go ahead and say this message, comment below or DM me or write a star and I'll send you the link to get the full newsletter. So that's a way that you can use your newsletter to inform your social content if you're someone who is a great writer and you really express yourself best in that way.
That's great. And before we started recording, one of the things we talked about was that you can now use QR codes on Instagram, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this is a hidden gem on Instagram. They are so with the times over there. You can create a QR code from any specific post from your profile. Absolutely. If you want to have people come directly there, to a reel, to a video, to a live, and you do that by simply accessing the menu. So I'm not going to go into the details here. It'll just blow everybody's mind, but just go ahead, Google QR codes on Instagram, and the directions are right there.
Perfect. So there you have it. Lauren Litt, thank you so much for being on the Everything Email podcast. This is time for you to give a little shameless plug.
Yeah. So if you are interested in up-leveling your social media marketing, I have a really fabulous training for you, and it is free. It is called The Daily Fit, your daily Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter engagement. Go ahead, visit me on Instagram at lauren.litt, Litt. Grab the link in my bio and get started building real engagement on your profile. You don't need 1 million followers.
Perfect. Lauren Litt, the owner and lead social media manager at Little Shameless Plug. Thank you so much for being on the Everything Email podcast.
Thank you, Ken, because everything is email.
You know it. Thanks, everybody. Bye. So there you have it. I hope you picked up a few pointers from our social media expert this week. That's Lauren Litt of lilshamelessplug.com. It's LIL shamelessplug.com. Lauren's an expert. She can help you combine your social media and email marketing, or just get you started with social media itself. All right. Check out my website, kenisemail.com. Let's work together. Hey, thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening to it on Apple or Stitcher or Spotify or Google, or maybe you're watching on YouTube. Regardless of where you're finding the Everything Email podcast presented by kenisemail.com, be sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Hey, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Everything Email Podcast with Ken Countess. If you like the podcast, tell your friends and coworkers about it. Be sure to visit kenisemail.com to sign up for Ken's mailing list. You'll get great marketing tips every week in your inbox. Have questions? Send Ken an email. It's ken@kenisemail.com. See you next time.